Hi everybody, and welcome to this edition of the Spartan Sports Report here on TV3. And Sam and I are very happy to welcome a new guy to our show. Sam, will you do the introduction?
Yeah, Brad Cutter, the junior varsity coach, and we're glad to have him. And his team's 5-0.
Oh, winning coach. We'll bring those guys on all the time.
Yeah.
You have to at least have a 5-0 record, right? Just here with us.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Brad, congratulations. You're new to Connersville.
Yeah, it's been a wonderful season, obviously, for us so far. Like you said, starting out 5-0.
Yeah.
It's been fun. Obviously, it would be a lot better if varsity was able to have that same record, which, we've been close to it.
Right.
But it's been great. I've been blessed with being able to come back and work with Coach Brown, and I always said I would do that if I ever had the opportunity to. So I've been happy.
So you know Kerry from where?
Yeah, Kerry hired me. Actually, I think it was 11, 12 years ago now at South Dearborn.
Okay.
He was my first basketball boss.
Oh, my gosh.
And we worked together down there for both years. He was there, and I've kind of been a few other places in between, but glad to be back working with him.
So you've had quite a few years of coaching experience?
Yeah, I started out with him as a volunteer right out of college.
Okay.
And then moved up to, I think I was a freshman coach, and then I've been a freshman JV varsity assistant between South Dearborn and Lawrenceburg. And then the last 3 years, I've been up in Muncie at Wapahani High School as a girls varsity coach.
Can you tell us anything about Kerry that we ought to know?
Well, as you already know, he's dedicated. He's
Absolutely.
dedicated. Nobody's going to work harder than him in the state, and he's always got his kids prepared. And I think the one thing that I love about him the most is what he does for them outside of the gym. He's always about making them a better person and making sure they're going to be successful human beings outside of high school. So, and I think that's important, and probably the most important thing he does.
Well, I know coaches want their kids to become great citizens when they become adults.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
That's what it's all about, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's what he's always teaching them: responsibility, respect, everything that's crucial for an adult to be successful. He makes sure that they, at least have the ability to demonstrate those skills outside of, the basketball gym. So
I think he leads by example. I've not seen him ranting and raving. He doesn't at the kids on the floor. May be different in the locker room, I don't know, but in public he doesn't. He doesn't with the officials. He can get his point across without doing that. We've had, I've seen coaches take their jacket off and throw it in the stands, and you'll never see that, I know, from Kerry.
No, he's that's kind of rubbed off on me, I've noticed, and my family's actually, said that the last couple games is I'm typically a pacer up and down the sideline, and I think he's rubbed off on me in a good way, and maybe that's going to be good for me later on. I won't have such high blood pressure, hopefully, but yeah, it's definitely, he leads by example. He does the right things, and he's definitely a great role model for our kids.
The style of play of the Spartans, let's talk a little bit about that kind of slow down, dedicated, deliberate play.
Yeah, absolutely. You have to be very disciplined and know your role. And, again, I started with him, so everything that I've been able to do on my own is Kerry Brown. I mean, it is. I like man-to-man defense.
Yes.
I like kids to be disciplined, play hard. When you're in there, expect their best. If you need a sub, ask for it to come out. That's just what he does. So I think our kids have obviously bought into that. That's one thing I've noticed being new around here is, they invest in what he says and they believe in what he says. And I really can't tell anyone that does, would disagree because they're just so invested in it and they know it's been successful and they're willing to do whatever it takes.
He has a lot of respect statewide.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Talk about your team, your JV team.
Well, we're kind of a mixture of levels. We've got 4 freshmen, Carter Bodwell, Toby Billups, Caleb Sparks, and Luke Sollenbarger, who have come up, and I've been very pleased with those kids. Anytime you bring up freshmen to the JV level, it's a big jump from 8th grade basketball to JV basketball.
Sure.
And while they've had their struggles, I've been very impressed with how they compete and how they're willing to learn and they're coachable. And then we've got a group of sophomores, Riley Moore, Sebastian Birch, and Luke Garrison, who have kind of been leaders for us. They do their roles very well, whatever's asked of them to do. And then we've got some juniors who have been kind of split in time. Damon Huffman came down and played really well the other night for us. He's been down, I think, 2 or 3 games. Trevor Young, and then Tanner Brock as well. So, and I forgot to mention Cole Martin is another sophomore. So we've got a mixture of 11 kids. It's very difficult some nights for us as a staff because they all can play.
Absolutely.
And you're trying to get guys playing time, and it's been difficult, but at the same time, I think it's been fun for our kids because we've stressed, next man up. I mean, every night it's been somebody different that's kind of helped us get to where we need to be successful.
And a nice mix of some guys that aren't just real tall, but are pretty quick and handle the ball well. But you got some tall guys as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, obviously being 6'6", 6'7" myself, I like coaching size. And it kind of just depends on the game. Sometimes we're playing more size than what we usually do. I mean, we tend to be a little bit smaller probably than what we should be, but it's been successful. And when we mix guys in and out with different rotations and lineups, they do what they're asked to do. So it's been a lot of fun.
Talked about your sophomores. These kids were freshmen last year. Cody Smith, coach is a freshman.
Yes. Yeah, they you could tell they're very prepared. They know what they're doing, and again, that's Coach Brown's system. He's got his system installed from top to bottom. So, when kids move up, we're just trying to increase their skill level and, get them ready for his team at the varsity level. And that's our job as assistant coaches, is to make sure they keep increasing and doing what they need to do skill-wise and to be prepared for him. So,
is there a big jump from JV to varsity in the style of
there is. I mean, it's not. I don't think it's as big as 8th grade to freshman or freshman to even JV. But there is. There's a speed difference. There's a strength difference. Obviously what I tell our kids all the time is you don't get scouted at a JV level. But, when you get to the varsity, every coach that's on your schedule will know your skill and your talent level and what you're good at and what you're not. So there are a lot of things, that we have to tell them that there's more to it than just rolling the ball out and playing at these levels. They're ready for you on the other side. Right.
You play, of course, the same teams at the varsity plays, but in the tournament coming up here between the holidays, what's happening?
Well, we've got obviously South Dearborn big conference opponent coming up Friday night, and then at Richmond's going to be a battle obviously on the road, and then we travel to Greenfield next Tuesday for a tough matchup, and then I think that's the last game we have until the Wedig after Christmas. But I'm looking forward to that. I've never been able to attend that tournament. I've always followed Connorsville and Coach Brown a couple games here and there every year. But I'm looking forward to it. I know we play South Bend Adams at the varsity level first game, and they're quick and strong, and they do things well. So it's going to be an obviously good challenge for us. JV wise, I know we drew Franklin as our first game, so yeah, it's going to be fun. I think there's some obviously good teams in there, like it has been the last couple of years. Teams that are going to challenge us and ultimately get us to where we need to be able to continue to be a conference champion and then sectional champion.
Sam, weren't those games played at one of the elementary school gyms?
Or middle school gyms.
Okay, middle, that's what I meant.
Test or Dennis or somewhere up there. And the varsity games are, of course, at Tiernan Center, and consolation rounds are out at IU East.
Right. Yep. Should be quite a week between the holidays.
Yeah, it's a fun, sounds like a fun 3 days of basketball. You play a lot of games and, get your rest when you're not on the floor and get ready for your next opponent. So.
Yeah. You talked about going to college. Where'd you go?
I attended Thomas More, which is in northern Kentucky.
Okay.
I played down there for about 2.5 years. And it was kind of one of those things where I was getting to the point where I was getting into my student teaching and trying to figure out what I wanted to do at the next, out of college. And I was wanting to coach, and Coach Brown was new, and I kind of got a connection with him, and it just kind of happened all at the same time. I was very lucky to play 2.5 years. I learned a lot, even not on the floor. When I was just sitting and watching on the bench as a freshman, I learned a lot. So it was a very enjoyable experience. Definitely something I don't regret.
How'd the teams do you were on?
We weren't very successful, and I think that it's a mixture of things, obviously. And we had a coaching change after our sophomore year. Coach Connor was also the AD there. He was my head coach. And then we had a coaching change. And, anytime you have a coaching change, there's different philosophies.
Sure.
And, it wasn't that I, disagreed with what was going on, but it was just I needed a change. And, when you're not locked into it mentally anymore, there's a time and a place to kind of move on. And I hit that, and that's why I kind of understand, how kids think. And when they decide it's just not for them anymore, it isn't, and you don't want to do something that you're not going to have 110% effort and focus towards. And so, but I enjoyed it.
Good. In the school system here at Fayette County, what do you do?
I'm a 4th grade teacher over at Maplewood Elementary.
Okay, 10-year-olds.
So yeah, that's actually what I had 7 years experience when I first started teaching in 4th grade, And then my last 3 years in Muncie, I was a middle school, high school health teacher.
Okay.
So I kind of changed that up just to be in the same building as my kids when I was a varsity coach. And when the opportunity came back to get to elementary, I was fine with it. I'm comfortable there.
Fourth graders are a fun bunch, though, right?
They are.
They're still somewhat innocent, and
yeah, they
do a lot too.
Fourth grade's interesting just because it's that year where they change. You know, they're not the little kids that need their shoes tied and nose blown for them, but yet they're not the sixth graders and seventh graders that kind of start, wanting to run the mouth a little bit. So yeah, it's a change of pace for some, but I enjoy it.
Teaching you a lot, huh?
Absolutely, you learn something new every day. Yeah.
Back to your coaching career. Who helps you on the JV coaching?
Well, Coach Bottomley, obviously has a lot of experience with that level, and he's been great for me.
I'll bet.
I can't imagine how hard it would be for somebody to, have to relinquish something that he's done, because of his time constraints. But he's been great. He's phenomenal on the bench with me. He helps me out. He gives me suggestions. And, even though you've done it for 10, 12 years, you still don't know everything. And it's great to have that person that can kind of give you advice and be your right-hand man, and that's what he is for me. So
you must be doing a lot of things right to be 5-0.
Well, it's as every coach would tell you, you have to have good players to be successful, and we've got good players in our system, so I've been blessed with that.
Yeah, they're fun to watch. So what do you think of the crowds at Connersville?
Well, that's why I was talking earlier before we went on the air. I said, the Union County Connersville game, I was never able to come scout it, never attend it, and I was kind of thinking people were kind of full of it at first because I was like, there's no way this is the biggest what they say. And then I came out of the locker room after the JV game or halftime of JV game, and it was packed. And I'm like, okay, these people are serious. But so it's been awesome. Basketball is what Connersville is about up here.
That's right.
And that's what I eat, sleep, and breathe. So it's been awesome.
Did you hear about Connersville before you came here?
Oh yeah,
okay.
I mean, like I said, my grandfather played for the Aurora teams back in the day.
Oh really?
And he always talks to me about the regionals that they had here.
Yes.
Back in the 60s and 70s, and back before I was around. And then I've always been a fan of the gym, so I've been to at least I'd say 1 or 2 games as a fan every year.
Okay.
Or as an opposing coach, or coaching here or playing here. My senior year sectionals was on the Connersville Spartan Bowl floor. So, yeah.
A lot of the visiting teams, they don't like to come to Connersville.
No, absolutely
they say
not.
It's a tough place to play, is it?
Absolutely. That's one of the things that is unique for me is my last game ever in high school was against Matt Howard as a freshman. And obviously he won that battle, and that's not something I was pleased about. But, that's unique, the success that Matt had here, and obviously went on to have at Butler and then the professionals, overseas. And so that's something that I'm proud of. I was able to say, that played against him and competed against him. So
yes, great.
Yeah.
Not often a Division I player that you get to play against that went to final game twice.
Absolutely, and I mean, obviously when he was a freshman, nobody really knew how big he was going to become.
Yes.
But you could tell as a freshman, he was a stud on the floor, and he was going to get better, and he was, going to work hard. So yeah, he definitely deserves everything that he had. So.
Sam, the Spartan girls played pretty well Saturday, but couldn't quite pull it off.
I thought they played very well. Lawrenceburg came in here at 9-0.
Yes.
A good basketball team. And Lady Spartans had their chances. I mean, they played as well as I've seen them, even though they lost.
2-point game, what, 45-43?
Yeah. And could have maybe pulled that out, hit a few more free throws, but that's just the way it is. They cut down on their turnovers from the previous game, and I think Coach Thompson has them going in the right direction.
Yes.
It's just we'll see what happens. We got game Tuesday night, Muncie Central here at the Bowl, and then of course the boy-girl doubleheader on Friday night, a conference game. Right. That's the important one, I think. But
sure is.
They're all important. But
yeah, they played one conference game. That was Rushville, I think, so far. So they're still in the hunt.
Absolutely. Yes.
Absolutely.
And continued improvement, I think, is all Coach Thompson can ask for at this point. Is that they put their heart and soul in it and continue to get better.
Saturday night, the boys looked pretty good.
Oh, they looked. Yeah, that's a tough team. We've had a tough time against Pendleton.
I tell people Pendleton have the worst record in the state and come in here and give us fits.
And I don't know why that is.
I don't either.
But they've always been well coached.
Yes.
Those guys were not only tall, and they weren't a whole lot taller than us, but they were thick through their chests.
I agree. They
and
had 200-pounder kids there on the floor. So it was,
and pretty agile, I thought. So Spartans did a good job against
absolutely.
them. Kind of reminds me, we've had our struggles with them. Reminds me back in the South Central Conference days, we'd go to Franklin and we'd always have trouble there. It seemed like that there and maybe Seymour was always tough
Right,
opponents.
I
And
know.
it's been since we're playing teams more from the north now and sectional opponents like that they're just that one that we've struggled against.
It's a great win for the Spartans. We have some video from it since TV3 was there, so let's see some of the highlights of the South Dearborn Spartan game. The beginning of, I like flags. I don't know if you guys do or not, but
Yeah, I wish they would rearrange those so it didn't say snap wraps down the floor.
three-pointer on the way, Noah Belt.
Yeah, Noah. I thought Noah, especially late in the game, midway through the fourth quarter, he put that team on his back and carried them for a while.
Yeah, he was making free throws.
Yeah.
Garrett Wicks, had 4 threes in that ball game.
Yeah,
so,
he had a nice game.
Yeah, really did.
A nice
all-around
dump
game.
into
Yeah, Jacob
Smith.
Brown, he was getting in there, and Ethan Smith. Yeah, the kids looked really good. Yeah, I don't think Coach had to make too many changes at halftime.
Yeah, Noah just has a way to get to the basket, and we've seen that since he was a freshman. Able to slide in among the bigger guys. Nice pass.
Well,
good
we
ball
need him.
movement.
That's a earmark of our team. Garrett Silcott did the same thing last year.
Yeah, and if you haven't seen it over on East 5th Street, there's a big billboard that IU East has put up, has Garrett's picture on it.
Oh, I haven't seen that.
Oh, yeah.
We've been carrying some of their games here on TV3. So
Spartans, very competitive game the other night. Fun game to watch. That little number 2, his name escapes me now
right
Nelson
from
Heights.
Heights.
He was a nice ball player.
Yeah, he's a pretty good point guard.
Yes.
Yeah, they missed several shots, which could have very easily gone in. But Brad, the defense of the Spartans is something to behold, to watch.
Yeah, it is. We put a lot of pride and
Yes.
time into that, and the kids understand that. I mean, coaches always talk to them every day about the bar that's been set previous years. Some of our kids have been part of it, some haven't, and he's constantly reminding them, how do you want your year to be remembered? And I think that's just, it's important. And yeah, I mean, I thought our effort was fantastic Saturday night.
One thing I like about the Spartans, they build a lead, spread the floor, and it's layups and free throws. And they're very disciplined at the end if they have the lead.
Very disciplined, take care of the ball, get a high percentage shot. Yep, all those are.
They know how to use the clock as their number 6 man, I'll say. Out there. Yeah.
Well, we had a pretty good coach here at one time that did that, and there's a big banner that says 1983 state champs on it that did that same thing. So,
Yeah, I admire these guys that can do that. Spartan Sports this week, we might look at the schedule coming up here. Monday, girls and boys freshman basketball with Franklin County at the CHS gym. On Tuesday, the Lady Spartans basketball, as Sam said, Muncie Central comes to town, Spartan Bowl, and there'll be co-ed swimming at Newcastle on Tuesday. Wednesday, it's gymnastics preview night, the CHS gym. Those girls will show their skills Wednesday night and begin their season in January.
a lot of tradition there. 3 state championships with the gymnastics.
Be at the CHS gym, so we hope some of the folks can stop in and watch those. On Thursday, girls and boys freshman basketball, home with East Central, CHS gym. Game time 6 for the girls. The boys will follow. And on Friday, co-ed swimming, CHS diving invitational at 6 o'clock at the CHS natatorium. Lady Spartans basketball with South Dearborn at 6 at Spartan Bowl. And the boys varsity game with South Dearborn will be following. Brad, a doubleheader and 2 games for the price of 1, right?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I'm not real happy because I have to go play in the arena instead of the
right,
bowl, but it is what it is. So yeah, we'll hopefully take care of business.
Yeah, you guys will be playing at 6 o'clock, right?
Yes.
Opposite the girls
Yes,
in the
they just
Spartan
flip flop
arena.
it. So
Yeah.
JV boys will be at the same time as boys or girls varsity, and then we'll flip flop. So
Even though it's not real good for you guys to be in the bowl, but it's kind of a coming thing, isn't it, to have two games like that?
yeah, that's a different thing for me personally, but I definitely like it from a fan's
Yes.
perspective. It brings a lot more people to the games.
Sure.
And gives you a good atmosphere, and like you said, 2 or 3 for the price of one, depending on the freshman level we're playing also. So
Yeah. Busy night.
The Spartans do that again the Tuesday before Christmas, week before Christmas exactly, that travel to Greenfield
Right.
Central
It's
and do that.
same thing.
We've done that for
Yeah,
several
it's-
years
yeah,
now with
it's-
them, and
it's
and
coming.
It works out
And
all
other
right.
teams are doing it.
It's hard.
Other schools are doing
Yeah.
it. It's kind of a transportation thing too, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, when we went to Shelbyville, we had all 3 teams on the bus, and it makes sense. I mean, from a
Sure.
school standpoint,
Yeah.
I get it, and it's nice for coaches as well, and parents and players and everybody involved. You get to see everybody. So
Sure.
yeah.
Yeah. On Saturday, the wrestling team will be in the Franklin County Invitational. That has an 8:30 start time. Swimming Invitational to CHS Pool starts at 10:30. Spartan boys basketball at Richmond, 6 o'clock for the JV game, followed by the varsity contest. In the middle school, basketball, boys red team Monday at Rushville, Tuesday home with Richmond Dennis, and Thursday they'll be at Richmond Test. On Saturday, the red team will be in an invitational. It starts at Spartan Arena at 9 o'clock in the morning. And the white team Monday plays at St. Mary's in Rushville. Here are girls' teams' records in the area. Rushville is 6-3. They won at Greensburg 47-40. They'll be at South Dearborn on Tuesday, at Lawrenceburg on Saturday. Franklin County is 4-6. The Lady Wildcats lost at Rising Sun 53-48. They'll be at Batesville on Tuesday. Richmond is 1-8. The Lady Red Devils lost to Franklin County 47-40. They'll play at Indianapolis Tech on Friday. Union County is 9-2. They won at Talawanda, Ohio 43-32 at Tri-High Wednesday, home with Winchester on Saturday. Cambridge City is 5-5. They lost to Winchester 64-51. Home with Randolph Southern Wednesday, home with Union City on Friday. Centerville Lady Bulldogs lost at Union City 52-50 at Seton Catholic Monday, home with Hagerstown on Friday. Here's how the area boys teams are doing. Richmond is 2-2. They won over Marion 76-66 at Indy Tech on Friday. They're home with the Spartans on Saturday. Franklin County 1-3, lost at South Dearborn 45-37 at Greensburg on Saturday. Union County 3-2. They won 41-30 over Southern Wells, home with Winchester on Friday. Rushville is 1-3. They lost at Blue River 61-48. They'll be at Lawrenceburg on Friday, home with Centerville on Saturday. Centerville is 1-4. They won at Randolph Southern 55-48 for their first win of the season. They're home with Hagerstown Friday, at Rushville on Saturday. Cambridge City is 3-3. They lost at Nicetown 66-48. They'll be home Saturday. No, they'll be at Eastern Hancock on Saturday. So that kind of brings us up to date on how the area teams are doing, boys and girls, and we've got some pretty good teams playing.
Yeah, we do. We do. Some
Union
good
County.
basketball in the area.
Right.
Yeah. So none better than at Spartan Bowl, but it's fun no matter where you go.
True.
Yeah.
True. Right. Right. Richmond, what do you think? They've got a new coach.
New coach
players.
who did a terrific job at Fort Wayne North.
Yeah.
And one or two players, I think, came along somehow,
so,
however
yeah.
that works these days.
Well,
but-
their dad got a job near Richmond, and then the IHSA got involved, and they said, no, they're not eligible. And then the parents filed a lawsuit, and a judge said, yeah, they are eligible. So politics, Brad, what do you think?
No comment. No comment.
I'll
We'll just-
comment and say that the judicial system needs to stay out of the IHSA's business.
I agree. Right.
Yes.
Yeah, they know more than I would think a judge would know about the team and players and
Yes.
eligibility and so on.
But Coach Kalik, I understand very good coach, and he's probably building his system right now at Richmond.
Yes.
But
He
they're
took a
going to be
team
somebody
to the
to.
state finals, didn't he?
I believe so.
I think so.
I believe so. And,
So-
very highly thought of. So if he hasn't yet, he'll turn the Red Devils around.
I'm sure he will. I'm sure he will. Right.
Which-
South Dearborn. What can you tell us about them, Brad?
Well, they have. I know they're athletic. Coach went and watched them this past week and said they get up and down the floor a lot and they're physical. They're going to play hard. Obviously, that's my alma mater, so I've kind of kept in touch with what they've done. I mean, they're going to play hard, and
Sure.
their kids, crave success, and they'll be ready to play. So, our guys are going to have to match the intensity that we expect of them every night, and be ready to play and defend the conference championship. So,
So you're from Aurora.
yep.
Okay.
Yep. Born and raised in Aurora.
A Reds fan, I assume.
Absolutely. Yep. Absolutely. I don't know about lately, but I
Yeah.
stick to them even win or loss. So.
Okay.
The South Dearborn football team was very successful this year after not being as successful in years past. Any of those kids on the basketball team? Because I think winning in one sport helps you win in another.
Yeah, definitely. And Coach Ballard is a friend of mine down there, and he's done a great job of building a program. He started out with these kids. A lot of the kids he had this year playing were freshmen when they first started playing varsity action 4 years ago. But yeah, Ethan Getz, I know his family really well. They're great people, and he's a great kid. He'll start. He was a wide receiver that I know set some records for receptions or touchdowns this season for them. He'll play hard, and I know they've got a few other kids. I don't really know them by name, but I know there's some kids that are 2 or 3 sport athletes there. So,
What do you think of the conference, the Eastern Indiana Athletic Conference?
I mean, it's always competitive, and you've got teams that set the bar high and it gives you a measuring stick, and you're always going to have a competitive game night in, night out. So, it's definitely something that I've always been a part of, at South Dearborn and Lawrenceburg and now Connersville. So.
When you guys aren't coaching, you do scout other teams.
Oh yeah, we spend a lot of time. Just last Friday night, we all, Coach Brown headed one direction, JD was in another, and I went a third way. So when we had some other coaches out other places. So yeah, we just want to make sure our kids are always prepared and ready for, do our part and make sure they're ready.
Yeah. Then you get some tape on some teams too to watch. don't you?
Yeah, I mean, with the wedding coming up here, there's teams that we won't be able to necessarily drive to see in person. But we get tapes on them and do our part and watch them and show the kids some tendencies of the teams we're playing, so they'll be prepared.
Do coaches talk to each other? For instance, we got the South Bend team coming up at the wedding tournament. Would it be possible to talk to coaches of some of their opponents?
I think that a lot of what I've experienced anyways, it just comes down to a personal. If you have a personal connection, I think you can make that call. Most coaches are very respectful and will definitely, make that call to you or take that call from you and tell you what they can.
Yes.
But I think a lot of it just comes down to, if you have a connection to a coach that is up on the schedule, they may or may not want to help another team out, for instance, and do that. But most coaches across the state are great about communication and with us. So.
It's a great fraternity, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is.
Yeah.
It's definitely, and then you have great moments like that where you can go meet people at clinics and become camaraderie with people. And then you have unfortunate situations like today where, Coach English at Beech Grove passed away from brain cancer. So,
Yes.
It's definitely, there's highs and lows, but, Coach English was obviously supported and had a wide variety of friends and people that he touched. So there's positives and
Yes.
negatives.
Brad, thanks for joining us and me tonight.
Yeah.
It's been great to have you here.
Thanks for having me. It's
And
been a good experience.
if you keep that 0 in the loss mark, why that's we'll just say that's
great.
okay.
That's the goal, one game at a time.
Brad Cutter's been our guest here tonight on the Sports Show, and we thank him for coming. He's the assistant coach here at CHS for the JV varsity, and that's the edition of this Spartan Sports Report for right now. Thanks for watching, everybody, and good evening.